Hello everyone, this is David Blakey. This is the first of 3 YouTube videos on getting started. This one is entitled Getting Started, Choosing a Platform and Finding Python. So this is right at the beginning. If you haven't used Python yet, you don't know where it is, and you're not sure what operating system, whether Mac or PC or Unix you'd like to use, this video will help. So it's certainly not required that you watch the video, but hopefully it'll be of help to some of you. So the first thing is to talk about the platforms that we have available to us commonly. The first, of course, is the Mac OS, where you can see I'm using the Mac OS. You can maybe tell by the way things are happening here on the screen. When we work in the Mac OS, we're really talking about working within Unix. The Mac operating system since OS X, OS 10, has been built upon the Unix operating system. So Unix is running underneath all Macs that are currently made and used. And so when we use Python, we're going to be using Unix. If you are on a Unix platform, that is, you have Linux or some other flavor of Unix, then the instructions here will be very similar in finding the command line and working within the Unix operating system. And finally, we have Windows. You are perfectly welcome and free to use Windows for your Python work. You'll find that there are very few differences between the two platforms in terms of actually running and working with Python. Really, the overall is very similar. Just depends on which is most convenient to you. There's no inherent advantage to using one platform over another. If you're not familiar with Unix and you want to become familiar with Unix, this could be an opportunity. However, of course, the class is not a Unix class, so you'll have to do some of your own work to learn that. But it is something that might benefit you. Just understand that it'll take extra work for you to get used to the environment, some of the commands that are needed to work within that environment. I'm going to show you just where Python is and how to get Python started on all 3 of these platforms, and that's what this video is about. So first, let's talk about the Mac, my preferred platform, if only because it provides the most beautiful interface to Unix around. Not to put down other flavors of Unix. The Mac starts with the Finder, and in order to find Python on your Mac, it is installed, so it's included with the Mac. You need to go to your Applications folder, and inside the Applications folder you'll find a Utilities folder. And inside the Utilities folder you should find something called Terminal. Here it is down here. Terminal is the basically it's a Unix terminal window, and so when you launch it, a Unix terminal window will appear. Yours is going to look different. Yours will be white with black text until you've changed the coloring in terminal preferences. It's up to you what you like to work in. I personally like green screen. And I also like to enlarge the type until it's big enough for my old tired eyes to see. It's also quite useful in class to be able to do this. You'll see me do it many times in class. What we're seeing here is a Unix terminal prompt, and we're in the bash shell. Many things that I may talk about in Unix may be of use to you if you're learning Unix, but as I say, we're not here to learn Unix, so I won't be, unfortunately, won't be giving you step-by-step instructions. There is a Getting Started handout within the Handouts page, and you can learn about Unix that way. It is possible to get started with Unix in this class, but you'll be doing your own work, as I said. So here we are in the Unix environment, and what we can do to verify that we have Python, and we'll be able to do this on any of the command lines on any of the platforms. So in a Unix platform, in a Windows platform. The command that we use with a Mac as well, which is really, we're really just sitting in Unix right now, is Python-V. Python space -V. You'll see a Python version number listed. This is the Python version that comes installed with Leopard, I believe, Snow Leopard, which is the operating system that I'm running right now. I believe the new Mac OS Lion offers 2.7. What you may notice, or you may know from reading about Python, is that Python currently is being developed in version 3, which is a newer version of Python. We are not going to be using or talking about Python 3 to any great extent, and that's largely because the world is running Python 2.x. 2.x meaning any version of Python starting with 2. Probably you don't want to go any earlier than 2.4, but it's best to get the latest 2.x version, which I think is 2.7 something. And just evidence that the world is still running on that version. The default version in the latest Mac operating system is 2.7 something. So they have not moved up to 3, and for very good reason. It is not backward compatible and requires some work to convert your Python 2.x scripts to Python 3. And so most shops, most companies that use Python are still using the Python 2.x version. It'll take some time before we move over to 3. So stick with 2.x for now. And that is basically how we do it on the Mac. It's installed. We don't have to worry about it. If you have a relatively recent Mac, you're using a version that we can use. The only other thing besides changing the color and the size that I find useful about the terminal program and about using it would be that I find it useful to take the terminal program itself from the utilities folder and drag it into the dock. When you do that, it puts terminal into the dock, so you don't have to go through the extra folders to get to it. So that's Python on the Mac. Now, if you're in Unix, I don't have screenshots for this, but if you're in Unix, the steps are going to be almost exactly the same. It depends on your flavor of Unix and what desktop you're using, that is, what desktop software you're using with Unix, but you should be able to find your terminal program within an applications/utilities folder or somewhere similar to that. It should be called terminal, and it should be located either in applications or in a subfolder of applications like utilities. So if you decide to work on Unix directly, that is a flavor of Unix like Linux or some other flavor of Unix, you're perfectly welcome to. You're really on the same playing field as we who use the Mac and work with this version of Unix, which is called FreeBSD Unix. So that is the overview. I hope it was useful and helpful to you, and feel free to ask me questions or make comments on this video. I am very much interested in knowing whether it was helpful to you.